In this video, I'm going to take you through my ACCA AFM top tutor tips to help you pass your upcoming exam, going through the examiner's report from the March and June 2024 sitting that, to be honest with you, if you're watching this video in 2025, 2026 or any years in the future, the tips in here going through the practice platform, the key topic areas are still going to be relevant. And one key area that's going to help you to pass is doing mock papers 2-time under exam conditions, and that is where I'm delighted to say I'm affiliated with LearnSignal, as you can see on the screen now, where they offer actual homework packs, mock papers, where you can get feedback from markers within 3 days. And as always on the channel, for complete transparency, if you were to click one of the links in the description and purchase below, I'd be entitled to a small commission which goes to help running the YouTube channel. And as always, a massive thank you for all of the support just to keep us ticking along to help you get ACCA qualified on there. I know the feeling, it's really good. It's a lot of effort, and I used to read examiner reports, especially when I failed my professional exams for advanced taxation and advanced audit. The nuggets of information on here, pop it in your notes, or if you want me to make sure it's downloadable for you, ask in the comments, I can put it down there. But these documents highlight the strengths and weaknesses of students, so you'll be just as happy as that lady on there. The first key thing for you to get down in your notes are the professional skills. I'm going to take you through in this document what the examining team have actually said about the key areas like communication and analysis and evaluation, where students are actually usually quite good at, but skepticism and commercial acumen are areas of weakness where students just simply throw away marks on there. So you do not want to be doing that when it comes to your exam. The first tip to get down, which you'll see later on, and you read it through in when the examiners go through the read the mind of the markers and other sort of podcasts that are put out, is section A, 50 marks on there. Students spend way too long. They do not answer 100 marks on the paper. And you can see on there, 10 professional skills marks out of the 20 are embedded in section A, with 5 marks of professional skills within the 2 section B questions. Again, too many students do not answer 100 marks in this exam. So first things first, when you're doing those mock papers, do them to time and make sure you're answering 100 marks on there. Now, for the sittings of March and June, topic areas for your notes that got tested were risk management, foreign exchange rate risk, and a classic AFM technique of literally asking you to calculate and discuss, giving some recommendations to say what should the company do and why. Foreign exchange rate risk and risk management are key topic areas that they love to test. But what did the actual examining team say about that? Well, they were encouraged that the multilateral netting part was actually done pretty well and laid out with the calculations effectively. So students picked up on the professional skills marks of communication really well. However, this is where skepticism, commercial acumen on there, in other words, questioning the scenario, seeing if there are any grey areas that you could highlight. And commercial acumen referring to the type of industry, the product or service in the question. Those are the things that you need to be having a look and reviewing in your answers when you've been doing mock papers or going through answers yourself, and seeing if you would allocate the marks accordingly. As you can see, we've got the full questions on here with the sort of debrief. I'm just going to the key areas that I picked up on that are going to help you to pick up on marks. Feel free, I can put it in the link below, click it, and you can download and have a read through the whole thing. But coming on to question 1 with the professional skills now, what have you got to demonstrate in question 1 of your exam? Well, for communication, you've got to get the format, the style, the actual language and report, that how you're addressing it to the marker. Think about if you had to mark your own work, and if it looks like it's professional and done in a real business scenario, you are going to pick up on the marks there. You can also see when you're asked about a report format, which again is highly examinable in your case for your exam, is you'll get extra marks for using subheadings, giving a brief introduction, a brief conclusion on there. This is where you're going to pick up on those professional skills marks that could get you the 50 plus. And when it comes to any calculations, make sure they are clear, efficient, effective in your analysis. giving some little bits of narrative to say to the market, this is what I'm calculating, these are the rates and the numbers that I've applied, and why you've actually done it on there. The clear recommendations and advice, do not sit on the fence. This is the narrative part. This is one of the reasons why students will fail the AFM exam. They don't give an argument with strengths and weaknesses or pros and cons in enough detail. And then from that, they then don't give a clear recommendation to say, if I was the financial manager in this business, this is what they should do. So make sure you get that down in your notes so you do not miss out on those marks. And the sort of candidates who seemed less capable, again, skepticism, commercial acumen, very thin, underdeveloped points. You've got to refer back to that industry and questioning the scenario. Have a look at the variables. And I always say, hang on a second, what is going on here? How can that possibly be right? And posing it to the marker, because they're going to absolutely love that you refer back to the specific scenario and follow it on from there. For Part B, in the 2024 review, we had a listed supplier. This is for Section B on here. Investment appraisal, option pricing theory, an absolute must for you to learn ahead of your exam, along with diversification, and internal and external stakeholders will be on your exam in one way or another that you have to refer to. These are all in the narrative parts of the question, with the option pricing and the investment appraisal. I mean, if you're going into your exam not being able to do the internal rate of return, discounted payback, NPV, you are going to be at a severe disadvantage. And what did the external examiner say to that? Well, students who are well prepared with the NPV and investment appraisal models, and they'd had a go at some past paper questions, they did really well on it because they expected it to come up. It's a very usual topic area on there. The Black-Scholes spreadsheet calculator, however, really showed up someone who'd done a mock paper and knew how to work out the functions and the variables, how to input it, and to actually discuss it effectively, versus someone who maybe just briefly looked over it in the lecture notes and they weren't very competent in those areas. So again, it's looking at the numerical analysis, seeing what specimen, mock papers, how they were laid out there. And the best bit of advice is, see how they've laid it out in the actual ACCA practice platform. You'll also get that in the Learn Signal box as well. And just copy that pro forma for all of those different areas. Again, NPV, classically tested area, hedging in terms of foreign currency is another one. And the final key one for your notes are acquisitions and mergers. They love to throw that in. But again, for Part B on here, you can have a look at the scenarios in a bit more detail. But this is what the external examiner actually said and linked it back to the professional skills here. So not so good at demonstrating skepticism and commercial acumen. Hopefully that's one of your big takeaways from this video on there. But students actually did quite well, gaining marks, structuring their numerical analysis. That's going to come with question practice, working out what works best for you, consistent with their own workings. And that's where showing with headings, being clear that if the marker was going to look at this and they've never seen any of your work before, can they interpret where all the figures have come from with some headings and some narrative on there. We also need the impact of the decisions, the sort of questioning approach. That's what we're looking for skepticism. And then for commercial acumen, use the information from the scenario, or a key bit for your notes on here, or the real world. So if you've got a question with, let's say, theme parks on there, and you're from the UK and you refer to Alton Towers or Drayton Manor Park, the examiner will take that and give you credit for it on there. So it's just something else to have in your arsenal going into your exam to say that could just be another 1 or 2 marks for commercial acumen. And candidates do not need to use valuable time drawing up a table in their answers and highlighting where they have demonstrated the relevant skills. Reading between that, you do not need to show the examiner, I've done commercial acumen here, I've done skepticism here. You don't have to put everything in pretty tables. A marker is looking for clear paragraphs with gaps in between so that they can say, right, 2-3 sentences here, can I give them 1 or 2 marks? 2 to 3 sentences here, can I give them some marks on there? And don't go writing skepticism and commercial acumen, because that's just going to waste time. For the final section B question, got to get it down in your notes. Mergers and acquisitions, listed company, multinational, classically tested one that refers back to stakeholders internally and externally. Performance on this, as stated by the examiner, was actually pretty mixed on there. Limited attempts on the calculations. Students were generally a bit underprepared. And one thing I would say from an exam technique point of view, you've got to think, imagine you've done section A first, the first question on section B, and then you're on to the second part now. You're going to be really tired in the exam. So if you haven't done any mock papers to prepare yourself, that's where your performance is definitely going to dip off. Calculations in this case had limited attempts. But it's not at all lost. Like if something comes up on your exam and you're going, I'm not really sure about those calculations, look what the external examiner wrote on here. Some students remain positive and in the same situation focused on the discursive parts of the question, and their marks from the numerical answers went down, but their marks for the discursive parts actually went up because they focused in on it from there. So do not lose hope. There are marks. There'll be low-hanging fruit for you to demonstrate your knowledge. But if in doubt, use the keywords in the requirement and apply your knowledge for AFM back to the scenario. And last but not least, the professional skills for that last section B question, the numerical analysis. Have a look back at some of your past paper questions and say, have I laid out those calculations clearly, efficiently, effectively? Candidates who actually provided annotations with their calculations, in other words, trying to show the marker, this is what I've done, these are the percentages I've used, they actually got more marks on there. They presented the spreadsheet really nicely, and that is where, as you can see on there, candidates who just present a spreadsheet full of calculations with no explanations tended to earn less marks on there. This is where it's again going to come down to question practice, doing them to time under exam conditions. With the last points just to highlight before we wrap up: commercial acumen, appropriate information from the real world and that specific scenario. Skepticism, are the points and the requirements and the areas that you've highlighted, are they realistic? With the last thing on there, candidates tended to focus on positive aspects of each takeover target and hence were less skeptical. And then you've got to say, well, I've got to be skeptical on there to be going, come on, if this is a multi-million pound transaction, I've got to be doing my due diligence. I've got to be looking at the risks associated with this and what could potentially go wrong on there. But if you follow these tips and tricks, guys, and follow the advice of the external examiner, as you've seen on the PDF, you've got a very good chance of getting a pass with the 50 plus. And like I said at the start, if you want access to one of the LearnSignal mock papers or homework packs, click the link down below. They're definitely going to help you out to give you that insight and the feedback from someone who's going to look through your work and be really, really critical. Because have a look through your marks and answers that you've done so far and mark it as if you are an AFM marker and be super, super harsh on there. Well, thank you very much for coming along today. I've put a few videos on the screen now. Click one of those. I'll see you on the other side for some more AFM content to help you get that pass. Give this video a massive like, and I will see you on the other side for another video now. So thank you very much.